right. We have totally rewarding chats. This is an international version today. So got some folks on. Carlos, who is with Forma and G3, and Emerson with Cajeda Miller.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And where we in from today?
Emerson, do you want to?
Not a trick question. In Sao Paulo, where Sao Paulo?
Oh, I'm at the east of the state. It's called Indaiatuba. It's close to Carlos, Jundiaí. It's hard to say, like, important to say, but it's the countryside of the state, São Paulo state.
Yeah,
Okay.
we live close. We're close to São Paulo. It's about 40 miles far from São
Yes.
Paulo. I lived my
look
whole
at you translating for us, Carlos. Are you doing the math for us? Are you?
yeah. because
1.6 is not easy.
yeah, we use kilometers here.
Yeah.
It's really different. So we don't use inches or something like that. But sometimes we try to do the math. We have to do it
Yeah.
for the exchange rate anyways. So
Yeah.
it's not that bad.
So far from Campos do Jardão.
Campus do Jordão, it's about, let's
2
say,
hours.
yes, 2
Can you say
hours
2 hours?
driving, like,
Yeah.
One of my
100
favorite places. So
100 miles. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, one
Yeah,
of my
it's
favorite
about that.
places. I absolutely.
Beautiful
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah.
Like it's a
It's-
little bit cold, but not like America. Like we don't have snow.
So it's,
Maybe sometimes we have snow in Campos do Jordão, but it's hard. It's not
it's
easy.
rare. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
rare.
rare. Good,
And-
good word.
Yeah, and Campos do Jordão, for those who don't know it, it's like an European city in a tropical country. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very nice. You can find great food, and all the architecture remembers some places in Europe and something like that. We have another city that is really beautiful in Brazil, that is in the south. It's not in São Paulo,
Rio
but it's
Grande.
in Rio Grande do Sul, that is in the extreme south of Brazil. It's called Gramado. I think I have told you, Sean,
Yeah.
about it. Once you come, it's a really amazing city too.
Yeah.
If you like Campos do Jordão, for sure you love Gramado too.
But this kind of city is kind of celebration in Florida. Like it's not a real city, you like it's something like you produce like for movies or something, and you have people living there, but it's not like Brazil. It's totally different.
Yeah.
So other than talking about your great headwear, like you guys did a great job with the hats today. That's awesome. You guys had them right there. I'll start, Emerson. Can you just give a quick background and what Cajeda does? And your
Yeah. Like I'm a marketing guy. I'm not from this compensation world. And I think this is the good point for me because 11 years ago, I started in Cajeda Miller consulting firm that is focused on total rewards, if I can say like this. It's not total rewards, compensation, I think.
Yeah.
We have surveys, we have job salaries, plans, job description, all this stuff that we have in this kind of work. But I'm a marketing guy. I'm there to work with the brands we have and to make strategies to sell our products. And this is my background. This is I'm a kind of how can I say when you are not from this world extra.
You are an
joke,
outsider.
We joke. Compensation finds you. You don't find compensation.
Yes, this is. I think is a good way to explain me. But I love it.
You're an
when
outsider,
yes, but it's like a cloud. Or remember, when you have a king, you have a cloud, and especially this guy, he can say all the stuffs, good and bad, about the king because you are out of this. And I feel like that. We have a podcast, 5 years doing our episodes, and Sean, thank you so much because you made us better, like your episode and all these those that we did. and I can listen all the stories and I can tell all the things because I love to say I'm not from this world. I'm just joining with you.
And Carlos, we go way back. So can you talk about your the couple things you're doing right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I have started in the field of total rewards about 25 years ago. I was acquired by Total Rewards, so it's I had some experiences during my career from the executive side, working for retail company, telecom company as a compensation manager. But my biggest experience was at Hay Group, where I met Sean about a couple of years ago. I think 10 or 15 years ago, more or less. We have started our friendship, and then Hay Group was acquired by Korn Ferry in 2015. I stayed there until 2019 to start an operation of World at Work here in Brazil. So representing for Forma all the courses and certifications and so on. And then, of course, the consulting side that I went through this 12 years, of course, they were there, and I needed to come back to the consulting side. So besides Forma, I also run a company that's called G3 with other 4 partners, and we go through the total rewards side, but also for governance, for performance appraisal, culture, and all this leadership development and other things besides total rewards.
Okay. So before we jump into kind of Brazil as a total rewards environment, we have the speed round that we started doing a little bit ago. So I'll start with Carlos. Same question though, right after Emerson. So
Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Okay, good. Brazilian beans? Is that?
It's good.
Yes, they are
But
good, but I really love the Colombian beans also. They are really good.
Okay.
So
black beans. I
yeah.
love black beans here in Brazil. It's feijoada. Wow.
Okay.
Have you
Well,
ever tried, Sean?
that's a detailed answer.
No, sorry. Okay, continue, please.
So, mountain, would you rather go to the mountains or to the beach?
Beach.
Beach, because I live in the mountains.
No. Well, why don't you live where you want to be then?
A what?
Why don't you move where you want to be then if you like the beach better?
Yeah, that's it. Much better.
And the last one, this is the most important one we're doing as we go through the year. Chunky or creamy peanut butter?
I don't know what is the first junkie.
No, so with the pieces of peanut in it.
Oh, the bar, the chocolate bar.
No. This is now we have a whole international thing. So when peanut butter, right, does
Peanut
it have
butter, I know.
Okay.
chunks of peanuts in it?
Okay.
Okay.
Or no chunks. It's all just smooth.
Oh, okay. I for
Okay.
the first. We have a chocolate here bar. I don't remember the name, but the
Oh.
first one with the pieces, I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
First one.
I prefer without chunky. But the confusion we made is because we have a chocolate bar called Chunky. That's why we, yeah, yeah.
Well, there's only one brand so it's called Chunky. There's only one brand I really follow out of Brazil, as you guys know, like
Guaraná.
Guaraná. Yeah, so
Guaraná,
that's the piece for the Americans on here. I can be bribed with Guaraná.
Yeah.
Popcorn and Guaraná.
Yeah.
Very, very
Pizza
nice.
with Guaraná also.
Pizza.
It's amazing.
Movie
Yeah.
with Guaraná.
Yeah. It's a soda. For those who don't know, it's a soda made by a fruit that's found in the Amazon. So
Amazon.
it's
Yeah.
delicious.
Although you can't drink too much, you get, it's got
I know. I think it's not the Guaraná. No, but if you go to the fruit, the real and then I think you feel like the sensation you are
Yeah. It's you
In
can
natura.
yeah, you can drink and buy like guarana in powder.
Yeah.
So you can drink it. It's like it energizes you. It's
Yeah.
something. Yeah, it's
It's
very
better
good. Yeah,
than Red Bull.
yeah. It's the
Natural
Why?
Red Bull.
Yeah.
So one of the things I just wanted to chat about, because we, when we had talked before, we talked about the things that were in the U.S. because you were up here for the Brazilian audience, and I wanted to just spin it around. I think people have sent notes and they find it very interesting how we have different but the same issues going on globally. So if you had to, talk about what the hot topics are now, the number one issue, um, two or three, what are you seeing right now that companies are struggling with the most?
yeah, absolutely. Well, uh, I think there are some hot topics here in Brazil about pay equity and pay transparency.
Okay.
It's something that is starting. I know in many countries we've been talking about this for like 10 years or 5 years or something. This is something that has started very recently in Brazil, but it is getting it's increasing a lot and it's getting a power of discussion. um, we have now we started this year having to report for the govern, and it's becoming public some information about pay equity. So companies can be followed by their employees if they have a equity practice or not. For transparency, we are in baby steps, but we are also starting on this too. We started this basically for executive compensation, like you have in SEC
Yep.
in the US, but it's not so open like you have in SEC. You have to report executive compensation for public trade companies, but not really. For instance, in the US, you have to put by name and all the historic and all these things, very detailed information that you can know the person who is and something. No, here it's still something more uh, resumed, let's say. Like for instance, you just show how much you pay for your board of directors, for your executive directors and something, vice presidents and something, but not naming the executive, something like that. So this is, I think it's really two hot topics because companies are trying to move through this, and especially because sometimes you may struggle with some information, because if you just compare man and woman, you can have a result, but if you go deep in the information, and information is becoming really critical to have and to analyze and go deep and understand which size of the company, which size of the job.
Yeah.
If we are comparing apples to apples to say if we really have inequity or not. So these are our couple of things.
But they
And
have, is it legislative now? I guess I did not know that.
yeah.
So they have
Now,
to report, do they have to report the gender pay gap?
yeah, exactly.
And do
From
they do it by are they allowed to use? I say allowed because to use regression modeling because to your point, a raw wage gap obviously isn't great if you can't take all the other items, together.
Yeah, we have some specifics on that, and basically what they are reporting is based on the more or less the regular reports that companies already used to do, but they have a code for each job.
Yeah.
This code is a
Oh,
problem, but yeah,
yes.
by itself, but because it's old, it's not updated, and this can cause confusion. But anyways, is based on that, and the government compares if for those codes, what is the dispersion that you may have on each code. So sometimes you have to explain something that is wrong from the basics, and
But if I have that right, Carlos, there, so in the US and in Europe, right, your equity work is basically an internal labor market analysis. So
Mhm.
it doesn't matter about anybody else in theory.
exactly,
It's
yeah,
just
the
you.
same.
In Brazil, does that mean that they are comparing your dispersion of how your pay is between gender to everybody else in Brazil to see if you are in line?
No, no. You compare. It's internal equity.
Okay.
It's your company only. But you compare, for instance, if you have 100 employees in the code XYZ, that is like an operator of something. For this code, they analyze if you have differences between man to man, women to women, and men to women. So they make this analysis. But what is the issue that sometimes happens? This code XYZ, they may you may put this 100 operators, but you have like a mechatronic operator that is
Yeah.
different from a maintenance operator. You
Yeah.
know, it's so you're not. That's the point that I say that sometimes they are not comparing apples to apples.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
because
think
because it's a conglomerate of job positions. So we have a
yeah.
code with 10, 15 job positions, and then we have men and women, and wow, there's a problem. But if you have a plan, you can show to the government, you attach it of this report, like explain, like, no, take a look at this job position, this grade, and then the government, oh, it's okay, go ahead.
yeah,
So
this is
you
a
can
good point.
basically defend your cohort, your group of people to the state. I guess that's interesting to me because my recollection, and this is many years ago, of helping companies or being involved when they did job matching down there was it was kind of a once a year loose matching to surveys, almost in person thing, and then it goes away. So has that caught up? Because at the basis of pay equity is, I usually, Carlos, I use that example a lot. It's not green apples to red apples anymore. It's not even red apples to red apples. You really start have to measure, actually now I don't know, Mac apples to Mac apples. Do we have Mac apples in Brazil?
Mac
Mac
apples,
apples.
Gala
I don't.
apples? Red delicious apples?
Yeah, I don't know,
We have a sort
three,
that's
four
called
kinds.
Red Delicious, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah, Red
we have
Delicious. Okay, so now I have to know. So you want to compare Red Delicious apples to Red Delicious apples, not to the other three kinds, right?
Yeah.
exactly,
And so
exactly.
have you been doing a lot of work with companies? And have you seen companies get much better at their job descriptions and job leveling and job architecture?
This is a way we have worked, and the demand for this sort of projects increased because this is exactly a way that companies can prove that they are really managing compensation, remuneration, and their structure. I think that this is a way at least to say that, well, we may have differences, but we have rules for this. They are communicated. They People know how to move in their position, so it's clear for everyone. So in this sense, I think things are increasing in this area.
And,
We have another hot topic here in Brazil, Carlos. Companies that were sued for cartel formation. Have you ever
Oh
heard
yeah,
about this, Sean? This is good because last week 33 companies were sued for this kind of a cartel because they chant information. A WhatsApp group is open, and all these companies know all about them. So this is a huge problem because 3 years ago we had the same problem with the pharma companies here in Brazil. And what do you think, Carlos? Is good to
yeah.
explain?
Yeah, it's a in this case, it's a group of companies. They are formalized, and they are huge companies.
yeah,
Actually, I know most of the people that are there, and we have an organization here. I don't know exactly what would be the compared in the USA and other countries, but it's a government department that approves when you have merger and acquisitions
yeah,
and
yeah.
all these
Yes.
things, and they make an analysis if you are compliant to good rules, good behaviors in commercial practices and something like this. What happened 3 years ago, like Emerson said, is
It's
that
called FTC. FTC in America. It's the same of CAD here in Brazil.
oh,
Yeah, I think it's
FTC.
on
Okay.
our side, the FTC, but the Department of Justice has
Yes.
their rules here on safe harbor, anti-collusion. I
Okay.
don't think they like to be called the cartel when companies get together, though. That has a thing. But the yeah, there's rules here that have been in place. Some were lightened actually in 2023
Hmm.
around this. But basically, the goal of these safe harbor rules, as they're called in compensation in the U.S., is to keep companies from colluding
Ooh.
and setting price. So basically, if everyone says here's the median and everyone pays
Yes.
the median, like then the price can't move and employees can't move up.
Move up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah, it's more or less the same. This started when these companies were investigated by this sort of commercial cartel, and they to try to defend themselves. They also delivered information that a bunch of companies were doing this sort of practice. You know, I don't know. I know most of these companies. I know these groups. I don't really think they have changed such a sensitive information that could really change the market or protect their companies. I don't think that it it's something unbelievable that thinking that 30 companies have this power to manipulate the market
Yeah.
together. One or two or three companies may happen. We don't know, but
I
30
think it
companies.
depends
Come
on
on.
what and I know the government can't manage it this way, but it depends on the roles, right? So
Hmm.
if you're in pharma and you have pharmaceutical scientists or laboratory scientists that are very specific to that, like then they could control price. Um, for accountants or finance team, if you try to keep price down or artificially, I guess keep it high is okay. But if you try to keep price down, people will just leave that industry. It's affordable.
Yeah.
But for
Exactly.
some of those, I can kind of see it.
Yeah.
But we definitely struggle with that up, in North America with the data.
Yeah, and this is also a good point because for specific jobs this may happen, but you can if you are in a pharmaceutical company, you can go for a retail company or a construction or a chemical or
Yeah.
whatever. If you're in finance or HR or legal
Yeah.
or whatever, so uh,
Well, I think the
I
other
don't
piece of
think.
that is I don't know how much you're seeing it, but with transparency and posting jobs, right? The requirement or the willingness to post how much a position is worth, um,
Yeah.
that data is not a secret anymore, right? You have other
Yes.
issues. If I post a job for 200,000 reais and Carlos accepts and Emerson is making, for 200,000 to 250,000 reais,
Yeah.
and Emerson's making 175, he's going to be in my office, asking what Carlos made. And in the U.S. now, there's a lot of transparency laws that allow employees to talk to each other about pay.
Yeah, I think we are far from transparency here. We are talking about equal pay, first of all, but we can see companies, American companies, Carlos. I was seeing some, I how can I say, vagas, job position open.
Yeah.
Yeah, with American companies that they are publishing the salaries. Here at Carreira Miller, for example, we have this all transparency because all the employees know the salary of all the professionals here at Carreira Miller. We have the grades. This is public, but of course, it's not normal. It's not common. If you see the Brazilian company, I don't know, 1, 2, 3% are open to see this kind of transparency. 95%. Of course, it's
Yeah.
hard to say in percentage, but I think it's when you talk about this here in Brazil, like to open a position and open the salary, forget it because the control is mine. I don't want to share this information because I can manipulate, I can persuade you like in this position. So I think we are far from transparency, but the law and the government are pushing with this report, like for
Yeah.
gender gap and equal pay. So maybe like we can see a delay like 4 or 5 years when we see some waves in Europe or in America. And I don't remember, Carlos, but last year was hard. It was, I think, the first for me. I'm going to the World at Work rewards, like in 22 Atlanta, 23 San Diego. San Diego started to talk about it, and now in Cincinnati, maybe for 2027, 2028, maybe we'll see something like this in Brazil.
So what actually you guys, I keep forgetting I was with you guys in Cincinnati. What did you see, that struck you at World at Work in Cincinnati between vendor services, technology offerings, because it's all there, right? That is different or behind. It's interesting, Emerson, that's the second time I think I've heard you say, 4 or 5 years
Hmm.
behind. Like, you guys tend to trail kind of the US, not by much. Maybe not
Hmm.
if we do things right and then fix the things we did wrong.
Yeah.
It's good to be 4 or 5 years behind. But what did you see as the biggest differences potentially?
I don't know, Carlos, but
Uh,
it's not something like when you uh, now like wow, the America is so uh, uh, is in front of the Brazil, or like I told you about this transparency and equal
Yeah.
payment. We are going to this. It's not something new. Of course, Carlos. We have a group of companies that go to the US and they are sharing all the stuff that we have here in Brazil because they have another subsidiaries in another countries. We are talking about a small group of companies that talk too much about this. But if you think about the Brazilian companies, like the small and medium companies, oh my God, I think this Congress will be very, very futuristic or something. But I'm trying to explain with my eyes. And during all these days, Carlos in G3, Emerson, Carreira Miller, during these, like every day we're talking about this, we're looking for these, and it's not something new. Like, I don't know, Carlos, do you have another opinion or?
yeah, I was really curious this year, seeing how companies are providing easier ways to analyze data.
Yeah.
This is I have seen this increasing a lot, and all the putting all together in the same system and having the ability to make the analysis. I think that this is a great step that we'll need very soon, starting with this topics of pay transparency and pay equity. This will be really fantastic to have, and have insights on that, and understanding the data, and making the previsibility. I don't know if the word is really right,
Yeah.
but making the preview that you can take from the information you have inside. I think AGR is far behind of we have seen marketing, commercial, finance years ahead, having the information, understanding the client, the behaviors, and so on. But when we go through HR, we are far behind. And what I've seen that this is increasing. We are moving faster than we used to do, and this I think will help a lot. Other thing that I saw that is somehow different here, some benefits that are being provided in the US. You have providers there that I haven't seen, or at least not much here in Brazil. For instance, fertilization, like elder care.
Elder.
Yeah, for to take care of your parents, for instance,
Oh, this is.
yeah,
Vovo
the,
and Vova. Yeah.
I
yeah,
got it.
exactly. For Mama, yeah, grandpa, grandma.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this sort of that I think you are a way ahead in the when you think about the employee experience, when you think about the work-life balance and something. I think we have something to learn.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know. I would push back on work-life balance. I think the measurement of it and some of the things offered, but I don't know. I would argue work-life balance in general. I've seen, at least the people I know, it's better in Brazil.
Yeah, I agree, Sean. I was like, Americans say about work-life balance is something like performance all the time, to work a lot. I have a friend in Atlanta, and oh my God, to talk with him is so hard because 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. during the, hey man, you need to stop just a little, please. And Emerson, forget it. This is America. It's another way.
I think there's, I mean, I think culturally like I'm a work-life blend, so I'll start early and I'll go late, but I'll leave in the middle of the day. I think the biggest difference is on holiday. Like
Hmm.
I really, unless I'm out where there's no signal or I'm out doing something, I check in. When people I know, even even friends, right, go out and are in Brazil and they go out, bye. Like like they're gone. So I think that ability to reset, and actually I would say it's not just the employee's ability to reset, but the company's willingness, or just that's the culture, that when Emerson goes on vacation, we're not going to reach out to Emerson or require him to be
Hmm.
around. That's a key differentiator. Do you
Yeah.
think, Carlos, the use of technology, you think they're also 3 to 5 years behind in Brazil, like it's coming? Are they open to using more than Excel?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
I think it's a need. Is that Excel? It's something that I think we are really used to have it, and uh, I think we need to have more flexibility in some systems, and in analysis, and making it to skip from Excel, because we can talk a lot about the way that you may waste time, and the data may not be accurate and something. But end of the day is like, it's the easier way, it's the quickest way, and you just put a spreadsheet and
Yeah, I
move on.
think to me, I think the biggest difference is what you said, but also the ability to be more creative with with your plan and be more specific to every individual formulaically, because you can't do it in Excel, because then you get errors. You can't run as many simulations. So if you're a consultant and you want to say, here's 4 different models, like it's a lot of work to do. And then how did you do? I think the other piece, Carlos, that people don't do, because in Excel, it's hard to then look 3 and 6 and 9 months later and say, we had a plan. Did the plan work? You know, and actually have data and put it back and put it, to your point, put it together. Because there's a lot, there's a lot going on there.
It starts with the database that you have, that you may have errors, and it changes through the time to time, and you just lose the history of that, and
Well, it's interesting because at the base of everything you said, I would say the problems are basically the same. You might be 3 to 4 to 5 years behind, but it's, job architecture, having the right data, all that, and then looking to the tools. I want to spend a couple of minutes, Carlos, as we kind of get near the end. You've been doing and actually Emerson, I know you've been around him, the Forma, and talk about kind of Forma and World at Work Brazil, because I think that's interesting. I don't know that there's anything like it in other places.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we started Forma 5 years ago. By the way, this November we are celebrating 5 years. When started representing World at Work in Brazil. So what we are doing here is offering all CCP and GRP courses. So we make all the certification in Portuguese with Brazilian professors. They are all recognized by World at Work. So, and they can go through the same process to have the certification, but in Portuguese, making online virtual courses. We make virtual courses. And also
in reais, this is good,
Yeah,
because
this is
it's
the
not, if you convert, the conversion is not so good in dollars for us, and reais.
But
exactly.
also, I'd imagine the legislative courses and the regulatory courses are Brazilian specific.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. Yeah, we don't go through American legislation. It's more Brazilian legislation.
Yeah.
But it's like it's basically one course that is a little bit different. All others are exactly the same content. So we have the same,
Okay.
and who certifies is World at Work. So we do all the process here, but the certification is just like the same as you take it in the US or any other country in English.
Okay.
So
How many
basically it's this, and very
companies?
soon.
How many members?
We have already around 100 members, more or less. But we're increasing the number of certified people, and we have around a couple of hundreds of students having the courses here. So it's been really good, and for the total rewards, we always take the Brazilians every year there. This year we had 34 people going from Brazil to the conference, and hopefully in Orlando we'll have a bigger number.
More than 100. Orlando, man, Brazilian is a Brazilian land.
Two things. That means each one of them can bring 4, 5, or 6 200 milliliter bottles of Guaraná. So,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Transportation, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll think about a boat, like.
We'll ship it to you.
So actually, for those watching, one of the things we're going to do, I think, at World at Work, is we're going to have a joint podcast. Can you pronounce it? Because my Portuguese is awful, Emerson. The name of your podcast, the Quinto?
Quinto dia útil, but you say good, like say
So
quinto dia útil.
we're going to kind of share and do our podcast, their podcast, kind of have a booth and do a bunch of that. So if people are interested, make sure you check it out, or can share your thoughts, or if you have something cool going on. The question I ask everybody at the end as we go, if you could auto magica, A blend of two words. Automagical. Automatic.
Auto.
Automatic.
I don't know. Auto magic.
Automatic. Automatic. ¿Cómo sería?
Automatic.
To make something automatic.
Yeah. If you could
Ah,
automatically fix one thing in human resources, what would it be?
Ooh,
Magically
people,
wave a wand.
people.
people.
Oh, both of you said people. What do you mean people?
No, it's like Freud. Freud tells us that we have just three things that we can control is time, nature, and people. So if you can do something with these, we have like a third of problems
Yeah,
is so
that
good.
sounded deep for me, Emerson. Is there one? Oh, and how about you, Carlos?
I was joking about people, but I think in human nature we have a big field to go, but I would say communication. I think communication. I think this is something that is one of the top issues in HR that doesn't matter if you are talking about remuneration, if you're talking about leadership development, feedback or whatever. But I think we have a big way to fix communication and make it better and avoid some bias and something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Good.
I've been speaking a lot about that, and I think for two reasons. I think pay equity and transparency. You're going to have to communicate because now people will know. So you can't
Hmm.
hide behind the numbers and nobody will know the numbers. I think the other thing, it's interesting, I hadn't thought about it, Emerson, until he just said that, was one of the departments in every company they have that I don't think enough total rewards professionals leverage is marketing. And
Yeah.
Emerson is proof. Emerson is proof you can teach marketing people some compensation. Um, and so I jokingly, I can't say this all, with a straight face with you on here, Emerson, is a lot of times at conferences I talk about leveraging marketing, but also if you can get the marketing team to understand it because they're not
Yes.
compensation people, you've broken it down to the human level because regular employees are not compensation people. And
Yes.
you get two bonuses working with marketing people. And I forgot that you came from marketing.
Yeah. I did my application for the Rewards 25. I showed Carlos yesterday. Carlos, I don't know, man, because the point is this, like when marketing meets HR, this combination, my 11 years, I'm feeling that this is the point. Go ahead, Emerson, because I think we have a huge land to conquer. Is it conquer? I think this is good for.
Yeah. And I think to be fair, people who started in Total Rewards more than 4 or 5 years ago, you got in,
Hmm.
and you didn't think you were going to have to deal with all the communications necessarily. And so you were in it for the numbers and the strategy and the figuring it
Hmm.
out and all the math that comes with it. And all of a sudden you're like, you also have to communicate. And those two skills, and I'm a good example of it. I'm a math and, development nerd. Having good communication skills don't always go hand in hand. And so I do think it's a great one, Carlos, actually, to bring up that sometimes gets forgotten within the tech and the numbers. No. Well, thanks so much. Thanks for speaking English. We proved, and
Oh,
we're going to prove again that your English is far superior than my Portuguese when I was in
No, we
Cincinnati.
tried. We
Yeah.
tried.
yeah.
Hopefully the audience can understand us.
No, it was very good. It's super great. And as I mentioned, they'll be in Orlando. We'll be setting up shop together. If people have questions, we'll put links on for both firms if they have questions about not only Brazil, but Latin America. Actually, the expertise isn't just Brazilian. We just picked on Brazil. And thanks so
Hmm.
much, guys, for being
I
on.
love it. Thank you
It was a
so much,
pleasure.
John.